Hey guys, this is Mike, and in this video we're comparing two of the most interesting 7-inch Android tablets of the moment. The latest Google Nexus 7 and the Samsung Galaxy Tab 3 7.0. Both were released during 2013 and both are fairly affordable, with the Galaxy Tab starting at $200 and the Nexus at $230 in the US. But is the Google Slate worth those extra $30? Well, it sure does, and you'll find out why in the next several minutes. To be frank, there are very few reasons why you should pick the Samsung tablet over the Nexus here. One would be the budget, of course, in case you can't afford to spend more than $200 on your Slate. The other could be the looks. Yes, the Samsung Galaxy Tab 3 7.0 resembles all the other Samsung devices launched lately, with a glossy plastic case and silver sides. That doesn't make it very durable or very sturdy, but on this white finishing it just makes it gorgeous. On top of that, the Tab 3 is more compact than the Nexus and in my opinion feels somewhat better in hand, thanks to its rounded sides and corners. On the other hand, the Google Slate is a notch slimmer and lighter, but at the same time is rather long for a 7-incher, and I for one had a hard time getting used to the form factor. I did however like the matte finishing on the back with a grippy rubbery feel that should prove quite reliable in time. And there are some other aspects you will like about the Tab 3 7.0. For instance, some versions bundle an IR blaster that will allow you to control various accessories around the house. That aside, all tabs can take up to 64GB microSD cards, allowing you to expand your storage space, while on the Nexus you're stuck with the 16 or 32GB you're getting when buying the Slate. And one last final detail that might not matter that much for you though, the cellular version of the tab supports voice services, so you can use the Slate as a smartphone, something not possible with the Nexus. Unfortunately for Samsung though, none of these are actually to die for features. And when it comes to those, the 2013 Nexus 7 simply outmatches the 2013 Tab. Let's take the screen for instance. Samsung uses a 7-inch TFT panel with 1024x600 pixel resolution on their device, fairly similar with what they've been putting on this line since it was released about 3 years ago. Asus, however, which are the ones who manufactured the new Nexus 7, went for a 7-inch IPS panel with 1920x1080 pixel resolution. That translates in more than 3 times as many pixels, or in other words, much sharper details and fonts. And that's clearly visible with the naked eye, no matter how you're going to use these two devices. Besides that, the Nexus paints more vibrant colors, is brighter and offers larger viewing angles. Last but not least, the screen is protected by a sheet of Gorilla Glass on the Nexus 7. So all in all, if the display matters for you, and it should since we're talking about tablets here, the Nexus 7 is the obvious choice between the two. But let's move on to the other do-or-die aspect of a modern tablet, the everyday experience. The hardware and software have their own roles in this, and the Nexus steps in front in both cases. Let's take the hardware. There's a faster processor and more memory on the Google Slate. That, on one side, means that the Nexus is going to demolish the Tab in benchmarks, as you can see here. And on the other, the one that actually matters a lot more, it means that the same Nexus is the snappier device of the two, no matter what you're doing on it, from unlocking the Slate to switching between apps, loading movies and games, or even taking pictures. Of course, the Nexus comes with vanilla Android, and that takes some of the credit for the snappier performances. The Galaxy Tab comes with an older Android version, 4.1.2, so it lacks some of the features available on the Google Slate, and the OS is skinned with TouchWiz, Samsung's own UI. For me, TouchWiz is not all bad, as it adds some nice tweaks like the upgraded notification and multitasking panels, but it is nowhere near as smooth or as responsive as the stock version of the OS you have on the Nexus. At the end of the day though, there are very few things you can do with the Nexus and you cannot with the Galaxy Tab, and we're mostly talking about running certain complex games here that will lag on the Samsung, like GTA Vice City for instance. When it comes to all the standard activities like browsing, watching videos, listening to music or playing casual games, the Tab 3 7.0 and the Nexus 7 are on par. It will just take somewhat longer for things to load or react on the Samsung, but that's not necessarily something you can get used to. Oh, and when it comes to multimedia, the Galaxy has one ace down its sleeve, the louder and punchier speakers. They are, however, rather unfortunately placed on the lower lip of the device, which means you will easily cover them with your hand when having the slate in landscape mode. The Nexus features backward-facing speakers, one on each side of the tablet, and they are not as easy to cover, but they are a bit muted. Anyway, that aside, there is one final important aspect we should mention: the battery life. Long story short, that's not a strong selling point for any of these devices. You get about 7 to 8 hours of use on each charge on both of them, or less when playing games or having the screen's brightness turned all the way up. That's not bad, but there is room for improvement. After all, these are meant to be portable, and you'll most of the time use them far away from a wall socket. All this being said, there are some other things you might want to know about these two. For instance, both pack a set of cameras, and while the Nexus tends to get sharper pictures and high-resolution clips, you really shouldn't expect much from either of these. See for yourselves. I should also mention the connectivity options, as both offer wireless and Bluetooth, micro USB ports, and both are available in cellular versions as well. However, you do get NFC on the Nexus, and that's not available on the Tab if you care about that. Last but not least, the base version of the Samsung Galaxy Tab comes with only 8GB of storage space, and about 5 of those can be used for your apps. Yes, you can add SD cards, but if you plan on having many games on your slate, that can prove to be an issue, as those cannot be completely installed on a card. The base version of the Nexus comes with 16GB of memory, and about 12 of those are available for your own stuff. At the end of the day, in the US the cheapest Google Nexus 7 is only $30 more expensive than the cheapest Samsung Galaxy Tab 3 7.0, and there are many reasons why you should spend this extra $30 and get the Nexus, as you've seen from this video. But don't get me wrong, the Galaxy Tab is not a bad tablet. It can do all the things you would expect from such a device, and it looks very nice. But it just lacks the power and the screen to be able to compete with the Nexus. In fact, for $230 in the United States, the 2013 Nexus 7 simply has no rivals that could offer the same bang for the buck. None whatsoever. But don't forget that Google sells this slate discounted in only a handful of countries around the globe. If you're not living in one of those, the gap between the Nexus and the Tab is going to be larger, and in that case the Galaxy might be worth your attention if you're on a really tight budget. Otherwise, you can't go wrong with the 2013 Nexus. Alright, that's about it for now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. But in the meantime, let me know what do you think about these two tablets in the comments below. And check out my other comparisons and reviews on the channel if you're after a 7-inch slate these days. Catch you later.